my first thought was, oh, you really can breathe water, because I had heard that before. And my second thought was, at least it's a beautiful day to die. I hope my mom's not upset. Because as soon as I started to breathe in water, my consciousness was on the top of the water, looking at the horizon. And it was a beautiful day. And I'm looking at the horizon, but my body was still under the sea, maybe 10 feet away from me to the left. And I in my mind, or in my understanding, I knew my body was under there, and I knew my body was like struggling, but it didn't bother me because now my consciousness was over here looking at the horizon. And I knew something else was going to happen. And I was sitting there waiting for the next thing to happen, almost like you're waiting for a bus. And I knew something was going to happen, but while I'm waiting for the thing to happen, I thought, well, you know, if I came straight up, I could drop my weight belt, because they put all these weights on you. We're in the sea, so that keeps you from bopping up to the top, because we're wearing the wetsuits and things. And I thought if I came straight up, I could drop my weight belt, and that would put me on top of the sea. And I thought, well, I don't know, I might hurt somebody. If I drop my weight belt, I'm going to hurt somebody. And then I was thinking, well, if I don't drop my weight belt, I'm going to die. And maybe that's better, you know, it's okay if it hurts somebody, but at least I won't die. And I feel like I was sitting there thinking about it for like 40 minutes. But then when I said to myself, okay, I could drop my weight belt, I will do that. All of a sudden, boom, I'm back in my body, floating on top of the water because I had dropped my weight belt, which when you're in a state of panic and you're swallowing seawater, I can't imagine how you can stop and think, oh yes, let me undo my belt. You know, it doesn't seem to me like that would be rational. I don't remember doing that when my consciousness was on top of the water. I knew my body was under there, like struggling, but I wasn't in it. It's like when you get out of the car and you walk away from the car and someone says, well, wait a second, don't you want to get back in the car? No, I'm going someplace else. So to me, that experience, it got me over my fear of death. I know something else was going to happen. I didn't see anybody. I didn't talk to God. I didn't see the light. But my understanding at that point was, oh, so dying isn't the worst thing that can happen in any situation. It's actually the most natural thing. It was just the second I started to struggle, the second I started to feel pain, which I didn't feel any pain, my consciousness had left my body. And I didn't really say anything to anyone at that point, but you know, years later, I was like, you know what, that was kind of an interesting thing. When I did tell people at the time, they really didn't believe me. You know, you don't drown and come back. You know, they never heard that before, so they didn't really believe my story. But it's very real to me. And after that situation, I decided the worst thing that can happen in any situation is not that you die, but that maybe if you become a vegetable or something like that, because then you're not dead, but you're not alive, and you're just kind of like observing the world. But sometimes the soul wants to have that kind of experience for whatever reason, and why not? I believe in life after life. I believe the consciousness is eternal. We just maybe merge and change and develop with other consciousnesses according to whatever adventure or experience we want to have in our next incarnation. So I became interested in things like past life regression and that sort of thing. And I've had some very interesting past life regressions. And I think this is an excellent therapy if somebody is having some kind of addictions or some kind of fear that they don't know how to get over. It doesn't make any logical sense in their life. I like past life regression. Even if people don't believe in past life regression, I think it can serve a purpose for the mind, almost like a trick for the mind, because I've had past life regressions where I was a monk and I was translating a book of holograms to tell the monks about the star people. I was also, in one past life, I was a hawk with I was blind on one side. And then this whole life, I always thought someone's trying to get me, someone's trying to get me. But when I had this past life regression, I was a hawk. I saw that when I was a hawk and a big bird attacked me and scratched my eye, that whole life, I always thought someone was going to kill me because I couldn't see that part. I always thought someone's going to attack me and kill me because because I'm helpless. I can't see anything what's going on over there. So someone's going to kill me and attack me because maybe that was the kind of hawk I was. But nobody killed me in that life. I died a very old bird of a hawk in that life. I had another life as an army guy. I had another life as a bee. That was very interesting. A bumblebee. Those big, poofy, like brown and yellow ones that kind of dance when they're flying. So it's really opened up my mind about death and dying. And these are topics that I don't mind talking about because they're my own experience that I had, and they were very educational for me. But I find that a lot of times when I mention these things to other people, they're very uncomfortable. They're very uncomfortable with the ideas of death and dying. And I want to help people to be more comfortable with it because there's enough things in life to disturb us. And one of the most natural parts of life that should be, almost like our grand exit or our, sometimes I feel on a soul level, people make a decision to die or make a decision to leave the planet. And I think you have a lot of different times in your life you can do that. I don't think that you have to, it's not like, it can be predestined. It feels like that. And then other times it's like, nope, I'm not going to leave yet. Nope, not going to leave yet. Nope, not going to leave yet. You might, like the cat that has 9 lives, you might have many opportunities to say, oh no, I want to save my life right now. So I would like to help people to not have fears around these things, because I realized in my own life that my fear of death stopped me from living. And you're having a fear of something that everybody does. It's like having a fear of eating. You have to eat to live. And it's almost like you have to be living to die, and just because we make it sound like some kind of morbid, horrible thing, and sometimes the ending seems rather sad, it doesn't mean that it is a morbid, horrible thing. It can be a celebration. I mean, you came in and you lived this life, and why should it, if you're suffering, why still suffer? And if you're having a great time, well, sometimes people leave when they're having fun too. But in my consciousness, I like to say that, sometimes people say, oh, this one died and that one died. I said, oh, well, great. They just start their next life sooner. And I do believe in life after life. I don't, because of my own experiences with talking to people who have left this life, but still able to communicate. I've surprisingly had communications with family members and even some neighbors that have passed over, and then I feel them around me and I feel them talking to me and stuff, and I talk back to them as if they're here. And I feel like something's really going on. So I would like to help people to make peace with death and dying. So there's one less thing they have to fear, because it's just, to me, it's just another experience for the soul. And if we have too much of a fear of death, it can stop us from living. And I'm not saying to be reckless, but I do feel that the universe enjoys boldness and creativity and moving energy. And I feel like the universe will support people in getting out and moving energy and using their, their likeness of God, creator status, to engage in life and engage in the universe and in being creator and getting out there and just doing stuff. Easy to say, doesn't mean I always do it. But so we can do, if anyone has any particular fears about the death process, or even the idea of death, or even some things from the past that bother us regarding death, there are a couple little processes we can do to kind of quell our anxiety or our feeling disturbed with the idea of death, which I wish we could call it something that sounded more like, I wish we could say my joy, like instead of saying I'm going to die someday, it's like I'm going to dissipate into joy someday or something. But the problem is that at the end of life, it looks kind of horrible sometimes. The people are sick, they're dying, they're, like, it doesn't look very comfortable. But in my idea of things, due to my own personal experiences, um, and I've seen some people die what feels to me to be horrible deaths. But I've kind of come to, and I've thought about this a lot. But I have come to the conclusion that, there's a lot of different ways to leave this life. And who am I to judge how a spirit or soul decides to leave this life or how to live this life? Because I feel that we all are children of the universe, or children of God, however somebody wants to phrase that. And that there's a lot of spirits or entities or souls that don't want to come to this planet. They don't want to come to this planet, is my feeling. It's too much for them. It's too much suffering. They see too much drama and trauma. It's like they don't want to come here. They don't mind to watch. They don't mind to sit back maybe with their popcorn and be like, wow, what's going on there? But not every soul is so brave to come here. This is my feeling for sure. And so I feel that if people are willing to come and be born on this planet, that they're very, very brave souls, very brave souls. Just to be here, you have to be very brave, because it's not easy to not comprehend that you're connected to the source, that God has your back, or that you're not alone. But to come here and be born and think you're alone and try to struggle through this life as if you're just one little person acting by yourself, this can be traumatizing for a soul, for an experience. It's a very difficult experience, and some people might find it easy, and other people, they're having just a terrible time with it. But like I said, I believe in life after life, and so I believe that life before life, right? And so for my experience and from my understanding, which I've come up with on my own and through much research, this is what I think is going on. I think people come to this planet, like I said, very brave souls coming to the planet. And I think one reason that the planet has such a high population right now, as of about 3 weeks ago, I feel the planet's going through an energetic change, what people might refer to as the awakening or something like that. But I think that this is what a lot of people a lot of souls came to the planet to experience right now, because the earth this month, this next 6 weeks, I feel is giving birth to a new energy. And that might look very chaotic on the outside, like on the surface of the earth, it might look very chaotic and very disturbing and crazy and uncertain for a lot of people. But I really feel like there's a bigger thing going on. I feel it's very exciting. I feel like a lot of souls came in at this time to anchor light on the planet. So all these souls coming to the planet, in my opinion, come to anchor light, because the earth at this time, as she's being reborn, needs all that light. And also when you have all that light on the planet, it helps to dissipate the darkness. So I think we're going to be seeing a lot of weird stuff going on. And right now in the US, we're definitely seeing a lot of weird stuff go on right now. But it's like the light is shining in the darkness. And when you shine the light in the darkness, and it's been dark for a while, it's going to look messy. There's going to be some ugly, weird stuff in there that people are not used to seeing, that people don't want to see, that people never thought they would see. Imagine a dark cellar for like 2,000 years. You go down there and you're like cautious. You're like, what is going on down here? And you start seeing stuff you didn't think you want to see, or you certainly don't want to. But there's going to be a lot of anxiety, a lot of insanity, a lot of strange human behavior. But I think this, to me, this is just the light coming on in the room and the darkness being exposed, and then it's going to be cleaned up. And we can participate physically, or we can just say, bless all that, bless that person, bless that situation, bless what's happening, bless how I'm feeling, and bless that I don't need to watch everything like every single second, But to the degree that we want to interact with this life or with these situations, that's our choice. We can engage and watch and peek. You know, we get to make our own choice. We get to make choices that feel comfortable for us. We get to make choices that are soothing to our soul. That you know, we have to monitor our own comfort. We have to monitor our own um, uh, let's see, like I said, like our own interactions. We have to be mindful, especially during these next 6 weeks while the earth, I feel, is going through this energetic upgrade. I really feel like, you know, whatever's going on in the outside world is going to be crazy. And does it really affect us? I think this time would be a great time to go inside, focus on our inner balance, try to keep ourselves, you know, being responsible first and foremost to our own inner balance, because then that allows us to hold space for other people. It allows us to show up as a balanced energy for other people. And if not for other people, then for the earth itself, for society. You know, if everybody's going crazy, sometimes that's fun. Sometimes it's fun to jump into the insanity, run around with no head. You know, I don't think there's so many rules for this life. We came into these vehicles to experience this planet. And if we want to bang our head on the wall because we have a head, when we're not in this life, we don't have this vehicle. And sometimes I think we come in, well, not sometimes, I believe this, we come into this life. I believe the mind is non-local. So our consciousness comes in and basically sees this life from our body. Like when you play the game board, you get to pick, do I want to be the blue player, the red player? Do I want to be this person or that person on the game board? You've got to pick a vehicle to move around the game board. So I think that our consciousness, you know, in some degree chooses this vehicle that we're going to play this game with, or at least enjoy this life. Or and some people are like, well, I don't like this in my body. I don't like this. I don't like this. I'm the same way. But for whatever reason, we chose this vehicle, and you might as well go with what you got. You might as well enjoy it to the fullest. We don't have to accept society's ideas of us and what you should look like and what you should do and this and that, whatever else. You can find beautiful, happy feeling people no matter what they look like, no matter their economic level, no matter what job they have. There's people that you can just tell they're satisfied with themselves, they're happy with themselves, they're okay with themselves. And so one part of offering making peace with death and dying is another level of our consciousness that if we can be okay with that, then that's one less thing we're going to have this continuing anxiety about. I've been fearful of death since I was 10 years old. And when I was 23 and had the near-death experience, I wasn't afraid of death anymore, but I still wasn't living at that point because I still had a lot of apprehension. And it wasn't until maybe I was 30 that I had another past life regression, and I got over my fear of seeing big rocks under the water. And that was an amazing experience. However, I just wanted to ask you, Gita Omaneshki, so sometimes it's like, okay, I feel the energy of this dark density, but you know, how can I turn this around? You know, oh, maybe I feel lonely, or I miss this person so much, but when they're on the other side, you know, if they're willing to still engage with us, if we just think about them, it's like they show up. If we just think about them, we can feel them nearby. And sometimes it feels like a heaviness, but when we feel heavy or when we feel lonely, you know, imagine most of the time, even if the person is here on the planet with us, if we think about them and we love them, it makes us happy. Even if they're not in the same room, they could be on a trip or they could be at work all day, but we think about them and we feel happy. So what does it matter when they leave their body? We can think of them and still feel happy. But you know, I find even myself it's trouble sometimes to still feel the weight of that, oh, I wish things didn't happen that way. But we're here for a human experience, in my opinion. It's a very limited experience, and it's going to be a very multi textural experience as far as emotions go. But to know that we have these emotions, the emotion of compassion, the emotion of fear, the emotion of this and this, like when we know we have all these emotions and we still have ways to be able to manage them, you know, I think that's a talent and a skill that we take with us past this life. You know, like I talk to my grandmother all the time. When I see 222, I'm like, hey, grandma, how you doing? And, you know, I just talk to her as if she's here. Or my my dad talked to me a lot. He talked to me more after I died than when I was alive. And but I had to talk to him through somebody. I would call someone who was in tune with talking to people who passed over, and I'd say, I feel my dad around me. What does he want now? You know, because he was here all the time. So so number one, absolutely, if you want to communicate with them, you can just speak, and they're there, and you can feel a lot of time when they're there. They can feel your heart, and if you're not sure if that's occurring, there are people that you can talk to who can connect you with your loved one to give you a message. And usually what they say is, no matter the situation, what they're normally saying is, I'm so proud of you. I'm here with you all the time. I'm watching you. I'm helping you. Talk to me. You know, it's so great to see you, you know, find love again, or find this, you know, like they are rooting for us. You know, they want to be, they're still a part of our lives, you know. And a lot of times, sometimes they don't leave. Sometimes they hang around us and they don't leave. And then we feel them around us all the time. And it brings our life down a little bit. But I think, have you ever done tapping, like EFT tapping? EFT tapping, it's to help us to manage our emotions sometimes. You know, so I see you're having a little bit of tears right now, and I just wanted to ask you, what are you feeling? Like, what, if I can ask? And whatever happens during that time, sometimes we lose patience. You know, this person is sick and it's a burden for us. Sometimes we don't have the patience to deal with something, or sometimes we could have, afterwards, we could have said something right. We could have did something different. We could have created a different situation for them. But the human spirit is resilient. No matter what they go through, it's just an experience for the soul. And it's not something they're going to hold against us forever. They're just like, we knew we were coming in for a human experience. We know that humans aren't perfect. We know that you do what you can do, but you know, the person who's sick and dying sometimes is very dramatic. If you're going to leave this life, why not make a big, dramatic, crazy, insane, like, before you leave? You know, sometimes it's like, whatever happens, happens, and that's okay. You know, we can carry guilt, but it doesn't serve us, and it's not what they would want. They're not in the body anymore, so why are we gonna bother? You know, in the opposite, if the tables were turned, do you think they would have done any better? It would still be the same thing. It's just the way things go, and everything's okay. So, well, let's do a little tapping round on the guilt, and you can see how the tapping goes. So if you take your hand and your fingers from the other hand and tap lightly, and you can say, even though I feel all this guilt surrounding my husband's death, I deeply and completely wish to love and accept myself. And even I have all this guilt around my husband's death, I really could have done a better job looking back. I wish I did do a better job. I wish I could have made him more comfortable. I wish I could have said more of the right things. I did my best that I could do at the time, and I deeply and completely love and accept myself. And even though I feel tremendous guilt over my husband's passing, all those years, even though I feel guilty, I could not be on my best behavior at my highest possible functioning of hospitality for all that time, I deeply and completely wish to forgive myself and anyone else who may have contributed to this guilt. I'm going to start on the top of the head. All this guilt. I know there's things I could have done better, but I didn't know until afterwards that I could have done better. And there were some times when I didn't know I could have done better until after the fact. Beginning of the eyebrow, life was not easy, having to take care of everything on my own. I did the best I could, and I hope he understands that. Under the eyebrow. Even sometimes I got frustrated, I got exasperated. I just wanted him to tell him to stand up and be strong and get better. And I feel guilty why I felt that way. Under the eye, there's a little ridge right there. You can just tap it lightly with your finger. Don't bruise yourself. I'm feeling guilty now on how I treated him or how I didn't treat him. I'm not a nurse. I don't know how to do these things. I really did the best I could under the nose. I loved him very much, and I think he knows that. And he's not in this human body anymore. And now he's a spirit, and I'm asking him to forgive me. Under the lip. Please forgive me for not always being perfect or doing things the way you might have wanted. Please forgive me if I was not emotionally always in the right space when I was trying to help you. And you have a U-shaped bone under here, and if you go an inch down and an inch to either side, I'm so sorry for anything I may have done to hurt or harm him or make him uncomfortable. And I'm so sorry that there were times when I couldn't do anything because maybe I couldn't be there and maybe had to suffer alone. I wish to release all this guilt. I wish to ask for forgiveness of myself and of my husband. Under the arm, about 4 inches down under the arm, all this guilt about my husband's passing. I'm sure I could have found a way to do things better. And you're repeating after me if you like. Maybe I could have done things better, but I'm just one person and it was a lot to handle. And I did what I could. I helped him on his journey and he completed this leg of the journey. And it didn't always look pretty, but I did the best I could. And I think he knows now, at the collarbone, that I did the best I could. It's such a traumatic experience. I don't know how I'm going to get over it. Sometimes I feel lonely, or I feel guilty, or I feel frustrated, top of the head. It haunts me, this guilt that I have. But I don't think that he'd want me to carry this guilt. Because if the situation were reversed, I certainly would be willing to forgive him. Beginning of the eyebrow. All this guilt over my husband's death. End of the eyebrow. All this guilt that I could have done better. Maybe there's something I could have done for him under here. But I need to release it if I'm going to continue to live. And if there's any unresolved feelings, perhaps we can deal with it when I get to the other side. And we can work together. Under the nose. All this guilt. Do I really deserve this? Did I do so bad in this life? Maybe it's time to release it so I can move on. I'm still in this life, so I still need to live this life. Under the lip. And to live this life, I need to be able to manage my energy. And I showed up in that situation for as long as he wanted to stay here. And on some level, I know it was his choice to leave and to take the long way out. Collarbone. Even if it didn't look that way. Even if from my point of view, it looked scary and uncomfortable and it didn't look like a fun experience. But who am I to judge what kind of experience his soul wanted to have. Maybe he wanted to take the long, slow way out so we could have this intense time together. Under the arm. I wish to relieve this guilt and this pain in my heart. I don't think I deserve it, and I don't think he'd want me to feel this way. And I want to remember him with love, and I want to remember the fun times. But that time was so intense. The time he was sick, it was so intense. I still feel like I'm right there. I still feel like there's something I'm supposed to be doing, like there's something I should be doing. I feel like I need to apologize. And I want to apologize. If you can please forgive me for everything I did and didn't do, I'm so sorry. I hope I made you comfortable, at least a little bit. I love you. I wanted to protect you. I'm not a perfect person, but you knew that when you became entangled with this planet and this life. Top of the head. I hope the angels are watching out for you and God is blessing you. And please ask God to bless me as well. I really wish to release all this pain and guilt. The pain in my heart. The things I wish I could have done under the eye. The things I wish I could have said under the nose. I wish I could have felt better. I wish I could have had a better attitude sometimes. I miss you a lot and I want to think of you with love and light. And so I'm asking God to please relieve my heart of this pain. Help me to feel joy and peace and love when I remember my husband. Help me to remember all the times that I did show up and I did do good things and that I did make him comfortable and that I did all these things that I could to still be able to live my life and be there for him. Under the arm. It was such an intense time. I still feel this heavy burden. I should have, I could have, I would have done something different. But I think everything in life feels like that to some degree. But now it's a past experience. And I wish to have a new, better feeling experience with him. I wish to forgive myself with love and light. I wish to open my heart up to joy, knowing that his spirit is free from that trauma. Remembering the moments we had together that were so delightful, that we could speak to each other with our eyes. He seemed like he was trapped in that body, and I just wanted to guide him. And I did the best I could. And as he chose me as a partner in this life, on a soul level, I believe we chose each other for a reason. And these little details of perhaps not getting the food on time or not getting him quite comfortable as I would like to get him, these little details, they go by the wayside. The most important thing is that we were able to look into each other's eyes for long periods of time. Our communication was exquisite. We were really in tune with each other in a way that we wouldn't have found to have necessary if he wasn't in that situation. Our hearts and our souls were connected in a way that I wouldn't have gotten from any other experience. And so I'm grateful for the experience that we had. We had a very loving and intense experience. It felt a little traumatic too, but we come into this life to enjoy all facets of the experience. I'm happy we had that 6 years together, and I'm happy he's no longer suffering. And I also wish for myself to no longer be suffering. As he's moved on from the experience, I ask for forgiveness for myself, and I ask for him to forgive me as well for anything I might have did that was not pleasing. But we don't come to this planet to be pleased 100% of the time. But I know that overall, our experience was one of caring. Under the arm. I know he cared for me, and he knows I cared for him. And we will always continue to care for each other. I wish to release this guilt and allow myself to feel joy in that experience that we had together, and to feel joy that he's no longer suffering. And I wish and allow myself to feel joy and to no longer suffer, and to see the beauty of life, and to allow myself to engage in higher level vibrations when I'm thinking of him and when I feel him around me. I wish to have the past be the past and take away the feelings of love and hope and connection and joy that we were able to enjoy while he was here having that experience. In another situation, maybe we wouldn't have had all that time together. We wouldn't have been able to look into each other's eyes so much if he one day went to work and just didn't come home. Maybe this was our way of making space for ourselves in our life to have this beautiful interaction. And it's not perfect, but nothing is. And that's part of the experience that we came here for. It's maybe not too common that people get to spend that time together in the way we did. And I'm grateful that it occurred. And I'm grateful that it's over. Because now we can have a new beautiful relationship. And we can still be in each other's hearts with joy. And this time, I don't have to have guilt because there's nothing I can do to hurt him or to displease him. And I know he's here supporting me and loving me. And I know he'd want me to be happy, just as I would want him to be happy if I left the room before he did. And just like a baby who's learning to deal with things in life, you know, we forgive the child. We forgive the child for not doing things perfectly, but we still love the child for having had those experiences with us. The child had bad days at school, but we still love the child. And I didn't always have a good day when I was helping to take care of him or in our life together, but I know that the overall thing we have for each other is love. And I feel I can release this guilt and this pain from my heart and feel that love and that beautiful feeling as if I'm looking to his eyes again. And he's telling me, I forgive you and I love you. And I'm glad we had this experience together. And I allow joy and love to flow through my entire body, through my entire being. And I release pain and guilt. And I allow the love and joy to flow through me and within me. I forgive myself. I know in my heart that he would want me to forgive myself. And I know in my heart that he would forgive me. It was a learning experience. that I don't think anyone can ever get 100% right. But I was there. I showed up. I did what I could. And I gave him his time alone to process his own life the way he wanted to in his own way. And though one of us might have gotten grumpy now and then, that's just what humans do. But I know his soul is free now, and he's free to do whatever he wants. And I know he's not going to use this situation to hold himself back from living his new adventure. And so I would like to release it as well and think of better times for myself, and then think of better times when I think of him. So I ask God or Spirit to surround me in love and light. And I release all this guilt and pain from every cell in my body, from every cell in my being, so I can get back to the God Spirit within me, which is joy and love and happiness. I allow myself to feel this for myself and my family. I allow myself to feel joy and love and happiness from myself and the world. I allow myself to receive and to give forgiveness. And take a deep breath. And I don't know if you kept up with me through all that tapping, but hopefully we maybe touched on something that you might be finding useful for your situation. Were you able to tap along? Or you have to hit the microphone button.
Are you able to hear me?
Yes. Just to release yourself from feeling bad and focus on the parts that felt good or that feel good now. And I like to say such as, bless me, bless everything I'm thinking and feeling and doing and being and experiencing. Bless my spiritual, mental, emotional, physical bodies, past, present, and future in this and every dimension. Bless my husband, bless everything he's ever felt. Bless everything he's doing, experiencing, being, seeing, imagining, loving, past, present, or future, and this in every dimension. Bless the relationship between us. Bless that I can forgive myself. Bless that I can forgive him. Bless that he can forgive me. Bless that he can forgive himself. And bless that we continue to have a joyful connection no matter what happens in my life. And so I like to say, bless anything that feels good and bless anything that doesn't feel good twice. And this will help to change your energy. But the world needs your light, especially now. And you are here for that. And he can shine on you from the other side if he wishes to participate in that way. And I would say find ways to feel happy, because the earth is lifting now. We can tune into the earth. We're still here to anchor light. Sometimes people leave because there's work they can do on the other side to participate from the non-physical, if you believe in life after life, which I do just because my own personal experiences. And so I want to thank you for attending